Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service, broadcasting from the KFAB studio high above Underwood Avenue in beautiful downtown Dundee. Ladies and gentlemen, you won't find another show in the metro area that talks about what we talk about, and that's business expansion, real estate, construction, economic development, really anything related to Omaha becoming more prosperous and more vibrant. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with D&M Roofing and Siding. And now, without any further ado, it's time to bring on my co-host, a man who is legendary in real estate deal making and has been for a long time, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Beals.
Well, good morning to you. You and I are world travelers. In fact,
sometimes at the same time.
Sometimes at the same time. So you just got back from Costa Rica.
Absolutely.
And I just got back from London, England. And so a lot has happened since the last episode of Grow Omaha. But you know what? No matter where in the world I go, it's always good to come back to Epley, and where you can get right out really fast and your car's just right across the street.
Feeling.
It's always good to come back to Epley.
So tell us about London.
I did a program there for, because some of the listeners know that I have a sales and leadership training business that I do. It's called Jeff Beals and Associates. A lot of focus group time spent coming up with that name. But I went over to London and I worked with the owners and presidents of 17 real estate firms from around Europe, and we just kind of worked on them becoming better at what they do and dealing with their employees and referring business and things like that. What'd you do in Costa Rica?
Glad you asked. Well, I heard you got a lot of rain here earlier in the week, and definitely I was here yesterday for the rain. And imagine that, but where I was down in the rainforest, in addition to seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of species of different animals and plants, it rains about 20 feet per year.
That's a little too much rain for me.
And then add the humidity on top of that.
So basically it was pretty muggy.
Yes.
But beautiful.
Good accommodations, great tour guide, and it's a neat country. It's amazing to see how the environment is different and how many different ecosystems they have down there.
Well, and most people from the United States, when they go to Costa Rica, they're going to the beach. You guys were traipsing was the word, traipsing through the jungle.
We were under the canopy, as they say, and a lot of elevated pathways, rope bridges and things like that.
Well, let's bring on our colleague and good friend, Brad Williams. Brad is the official photographer of Grow Omaha and a major contributor to what we do. When he's not doing that, he is with E&A Consulting, a respected civil engineering firm here in town, and the owner of Brad Williams Photography. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys. I have you both beat. I went all the way to Kansas City last week.
I know. Did you get jet lag?
Yes, bad.
Well, you did beat your record. You're on your 114th brewery visit, right?
I did. I visited my 113th and 114th brewery down there. It was a family vacation, but we squeezed in time for a couple beers.
They let kids go to those breweries.
Kids love them. They have all kinds of games. One of them had a whole outdoor area with a bag toss and a little soccer ball to kick around. So.
What breweries did you visit down there for number 113 and 14?
Martin City Brewing, which is right on the Kansas side of the border, and then we went over to Bonner Springs the last night. We got kicked out of our Airbnb because of the big Taylor Swift concert, so our last night was in Bonner Springs and visited Outfield Beer Company.
You know, I got to tell you, I got caught up in Taylor Swift traffic by Arrowhead because right before I went to London, I went with my son to one of his baseball tournaments in Columbia, Missouri, and then was driving back home to Omaha to head out and hit eastern Kansas City Metro right around 5 o'clock. And I remember thinking, this is more traffic than usual, and I didn't realize there was a Taylor Swift concert at Arrowhead. That performer draws in some fans, let me tell you. That was some traffic.
She travels like 19 semis.
No. A show in Omaha has 1970. We drove by the stadium. We stopped counting at 65 semis.
Oh, yeah, it is a lot more. You're right.
I suppose outdoor stage is bigger.
In Omaha, you see 15, 20 semis, but that was crazy.
If you're in Arrowhead, you can have a pretty big stadium. Yeah. So, well, fellas, we had a Grow Omaha Eats restaurant review this week. Our restaurant reviews are written by Sarah Baker Hansen, the most respected food critic in the metro area, and they are kindly sponsored by Cheer Athletics. Cheer Athletics is an all-star cheer gym and one of about 10 locations worldwide. The Omaha location is located in Papillion, just southwest of Highways 50 and 370. And love Cheer Athletics. They help kids accomplish elite things, but with a great deal of support and high-quality coaches and employees and counselors. Just a really cool. People will come in from like Lincoln and Sioux City and Kansas City to participate in the Omaha Cheer Athletics. At any rate, the review this week was for WD Cravings. And Sarah Baker Hansen spoke very glowingly of this restaurant. It is located at the I-680 Irvington exit. I've been there for lunch a couple times. Very, very good place. Anyway, in the review, Sarah says, when you go to WD Cravings, pasta is the king. And the funny thing is, when I went there, I don't know if I've ever had pasta.
And it's not a big place.
No, small little place.
They do a lot of catering, I think.
I suspect they do. They have a drive-through as well. The 2 times I've been there for lunch, I actually sat there and ate. I know one time I had chicken parmesan, which was really good. And the other time I don't remember, but
it's up in the Cherries Hills neighborhood.
Center. Really liked it. So at any rate, if you want to read the review, just go to growomaha.com, and in the navigation bar, you will see Eats, E-A-T-S. Just click on that, and the WD Cravings review is there, as well as every review that Sarah Baker Hansen has written for us. And once again, thanks to Cheer Athletics for making that possible. All right, gentlemen, should we go into the news?
Oh, yeah.
All right, you say it, we'll do it. The news is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. EagleMortgageCompany.com is where they are virtually. 114th and Davenport is where they are physically. But whether you meet them physically or virtually, the main thing to know is that they are the best mortgage broker in town. And as a mortgage broker, they have access to multiple banks. They're not beholden to just the bank of whatever. They can use whatever bank is right for you. And they've been doing this for about 30 years. Buying a house is a big decision. Perhaps the biggest part of it is, how the hell are we going to pay for it? Well, that's where Eagle Mortgage comes in. Take good care of you. EagleMortgageCompany.com. All right, guys, first up on the docket, if over the last couple or few years you've driven by 109th and M Street, let's call it 109th and L Street, you can see a former hotel that at one time years ago was quite a nice place, a pretty good solid hotel, but it has now become a vacant eyesore. And apparently now there is a owner, perhaps developer, if you will, that plans to turn this place. It was most recently a Westmont Inn and Suites, whatever that is, wants to turn it into a senior living facility. This would be a big step forward because right now it is the definition of eyesore.
I thought for a while it was going to be condos or something like that.
Well, I know a different developer turned another hotel just to the southwest of there into like apartments or condos. Not sure about what this was going to be planned, but
this needs help.
Yeah, there was an article and a news story on WWT that quoted Omaha City Councilman Don Rowe, who said in the article that they went in and did an inspection. Turns out the building is sound and can be rebuilt, and put a new roof on at least part of it. So apparently the Idaho-based owner-developer is looking for financing right now. Hope he gets it because it would be nice to see that recover.
I was surprised to see that it is salvageable, because when eyesore is an understatement, it looks like it needs to be torn down. So great to hear they can save it.
Yeah, it's had a tough go of things. Well, if you haven't driven by 72nd and Dodge lately, prepare to have your jaw drop and your eyes bug wide open. It looks a lot different. The former Do Space building is gone. They made quick work of that thing, tearing it down.
It's amazing when you drive by. That didn't seem like that big of a lot with the building on it, but when you drive with nothing on it now, it seems huge.
Yeah, that was a Borders. They put a lot of money into the Do Space to spruce it up, and then they got the land to the west, and I can't wait to see what the next incarnation is.
You know, it's interesting, Trenton, you talk about that being a former Borders store. A couple things. I can remember when that thing was being built, and it was on my route to work at the time. In those days, I worked at 42nd and Dodge, and I would always drive by 72nd and Dodge. And at the time, I remember thinking, wow, Omaha's really arrived. We're building a 2-story Borders bookstore. And I guess I'm old enough now to have seen that come and go. Borders went out of business. And by the way, when it was a Borders store, my first book was actually for sale in it. The first book I wrote in 2008.
Self-marketing power.
Yeah, it was for sale in that store for 6 months. I remember I'd go in there and like, no one bought it, but I would go.
Yes, they did.
I would go there and it was always spine out. I would always turn it so it was cover out and take a couple pictures and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's product placement, baby. And then across the street to the north, the Crossroads development, a lot of roads are going in. The infrastructure is really coming together.
Yeah, that is starting to come together, and it'll be fascinating. You know, no announcements have been made so far as to users, tenants in the Crossroads development. Our guess is there'll probably be some pretty impressive ones when it's all said and done. But as these roads start to go in there, you can't help but wondering, I wonder what it's going to be and what it'll look like and what types of retailers and entertainment service businesses and restaurants and bars. I'm sure it'll be an impressive mix.
It is a very, very complicated project with the infrastructure, and part of that building, there was semis went underneath it for delivering of products and goods and
when it was the Crossroads?
Oh yeah, they had a whole underground system of
you could see it when they tore it down.
Oh
yeah, they had to fill that, figure that out. There was.
Why did I not know that?
I think there was water under there too, wasn't there?
I think at some point it flooded towards the end of the
like water, like a flowing river. Or?
Yeah, we stumped the Beals, and so the demolition cost was several $1 million, and then you got to redo the infrastructure. You got to work with the city on the ingress and egress, and it's coming together. And I think over the next 6 months we're going to see some huge announcements over there.
Well, looking forward to those. And by the way, we were talking about the old Do Space being torn down. Most of you probably know this, but just in case you don't, that's going to be the flagship location for the Omaha Public Library. Couple stories tall, very unique, striking architecture if you look at the artist rendering. So it will be a big step forward for that site.
Right now it's the not space.
It's the don't space.
Yeah, and then
it's the didn't space.
But remember, if we had Rachel Jacobson of Heritage Omaha on here, and we were talking about there's like a 50-foot tall warehouse, and all their books and everything else, within like 2 minutes, this robotic delivery system can bring up a book. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff. All right. Next up on the docket, Builder Trend, which is an Omaha-based residential construction management technology company. That's a mouthful. Has committed to a multi-year sponsorship at the UNO Athletics Department. As part of the agreement, the club seating and hospitality area at Baxter Arena will be known as the Builder Trend Breakaway Lounge. So it's cool to see local companies supporting local universities and athletes, and that's a cool deal.
All right, name what their building was built for originally.
Help me out. Brad?
Not sure.
Vatterott College.
Oh, really? Oh, that's where they are?
116th and I or whatever.
Ah.
Then there was another technical college after that? After Vatterott? Was it an ITT or something?
I don't think so. I thought it was Vatterott.
Okay, I remember Vatterott.
We'll take that call if I'm wrong.
Okay. The Builder Trend's there. I was thinking they aren't. I thought they were the company out in La Vista, but I don't know. Who knows?
No.
But there is an interesting ending to your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, EagleMortgageCompany.com. Going to take our first break of the morning. And when we come back, we're going to talk about pro volleyball in Omaha, a little update there. We're going to talk about transportation projects that are planned between now and next year. And we might even talk about whether Omaha should or could have a public market. So a lot of things on the docket. You're listening to Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, and Brad Williams on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with D&M Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals at your service, sitting next to Trenton Magid and Brad Williams. Brad Williams, of course, does a lot of the photography, video, social media work for us here at Grow Omaha. I was with E&A Consulting and an accomplished photographer, Brad Williams Photography. If you ever are in the need of a really attractive print of Omaha landscapes, skylines, artistic shots of Omaha things. He has other types of photography as well. Go to bradwilliamsphotography.com and you can find some really good stuff on there. And I would say the prices are quite reasonable.
And companies hire him all the time for like progress photos and things like that. And he's not afraid of a helicopter.
No, I'm overdue for that too.
He's not afraid to hang out the side of a photographer and take, or hang out the side of a helicopter and take photos. In fact, here's an interesting thing about Brad that some of our listeners might not know. A lot of those renderings that you see, like of the Mutual of Omaha skyscraper, the guy who took the original photo was Brad, and then they doctored up with the what it would look like with the future building in there.
Yeah, the architects will take my photo and use it as a background and put their building on top of it. Sometimes they'll add a moon or something to it too, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's got to, as a photographer, that's got to be an interesting feeling to see one of your photos turned into a rendering with a skyscraper in it.
I always like to see my photos printed really big, so it's cool. Like on those renderings, you walk around the Mutual Tower right now, and they're huge pictures plastered around the fence all the way around.
So it's your stuff.
All mine, yeah.
Well, folks, if you have an unfortunate incident and someone's car gets a little too close to your car, so close that it actually touches, or maybe your car touches someone else's, or maybe if it's even worse than just a touch.
Unauthorized touching.
Unauthorized touching on the road can be a problem, but not with Dingman's Collision Center on your side, because they are the top-notch collision bodywork repair company. They do mechanical work as well. We highly recommend them. Trent and I are satisfied clients many times
Repeat.
over. Yeah, we've both been there more than once. And highly recommend Dingman's Collision Center for metro area locations, just to be convenient for you. Guys, let's talk about a couple of other things that are on the docket. You know, you can never have good enough roads. You can never have too many lanes. The state of Nebraska Department of Transportation has scheduled more than $680 million in road construction projects set to kick off between now and June 30th of next year. And during that time, of that $680 some million, the biggest one is a 7.5 mile widening on I-80 west of Lincoln. By the way, it's part of a process that eventually will have I-80 at least 6 lanes from the Missouri River all the way to Grand Island, Nebraska someday. Wouldn't that be cool?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought?
That section west of Lincoln, all the way past Seward, needed it 10 years ago. So it's great to hear they're going to start on it.
Yeah, because when it seems like a couple times a year I find myself driving out to Colorado, and that stretch is unpleasant because there's a lot of trucks. Why. Yeah, and it's narrow. But you're right. Anyway, of that $680 million, though, the second biggest project will be a $14.2 million rebuild of the 192nd and West Dodge Expressway interchange to relieve traffic congestion. That needs it bad, because when you're driving on Dodge during rush hour, the backup, because that's a kind of a primitive rural style interchange there, it backs up sometimes 192nd Street all the way up to West Dodge Expressway. And so it's going to be a one of those inverted diamond ones that you see in some other metro areas but have not yet appeared in the Omaha area.
There's one in Lincoln, on the west end of Lincoln.
I've not seen that one. Yeah. I know in Kansas City I've encountered a few of those.
The first time you come across one, you're like, you just want to stop because you feel like you're going in the wrong lane and head-to-head traffic, but they really do work. They're very efficient.
Basically what it means is you get off, and when you're normally supposed to be on the right side, you end up on the left side, and then you cross over. But as goofy looking as it is, it really moves traffic through there a lot faster.
So you, instead of going right on an off-ramp, you go left and then under?
Now, like let's say you're coming off an off-ramp and west, or let's say you're westbound on West Dodge Expressway. You get off 192nd and you want to turn left to go southbound on 172nd Street. As you turn left, instead of going straight to the right-hand turn lanes, you would actually go into the left turn lanes and then after the bridge, cross over into the right. And it's supposed to make getting off and on the freeway a lot more manageable. And
it eliminates a turn.
Yeah.
Or a light cycle. Eliminates a light cycle.
Yeah. So it looks weird, but it actually works better.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's part of that process, and I'm sure they have many, many smaller projects as well.
There's some big projects in the eastern Nebraska that are well underway or just wrapping up, like the Highway 30 from Fremont to Columbus.
Badly needed.
It opened a couple weeks ago. I drove part of it. Actually, that one's kind of fun because I worked on it, at
really?
ENA, so it was an ENA project. And then going up towards Norfolk, there's a lot of 2-lane to 4-lane widening going on right now, too.
Okay, that, and a lot of Omaha people probably don't go to Columbus or Norfolk very often. I find myself going up there, maybe once every couple of years. And tell you what, those two roads, Highway 30 from Fremont to Columbus and Highway 275 up to Norfolk, should have been 4-lane divided highways 20 years ago.
Yeah, definitely needed, especially on a weekday. There's so much truck traffic that goes from Omaha to those two cities.
Yeah, they're brutal traffic.
All right, now that we lost half our audience.
No, I tell you what, I bet you a lot of Omaha people care so much about road construction, they probably get ticked off when they're driving and they're stuck in traffic. That's probably something they care about a lot. That's my guess.
Okay.
And also, you are the two that will go on a new bridge the day it opens.
That's true. You remember that?
Can't make too much fun of it.
Are you kidding me? Like I wait in line sometimes. In fact, Trenton, you and I, when the West Dodge Expressway over 114th and 120th opened, this is a true fact that I will attest to. We were like waiting until the ceremonial thing.
We were like second or third in line.
Yeah, we were second or third. In fact, it was so new when we drove on there was a bunch of dust kicking up because no cars had driven on the brand new road to remove the construction dust. That's how.
So we got that going for us.
And I texted you the other day to drive on the new Council Bluffs Bridge when it opened. And
yeah, you know what the sad thing is? I'd already been on it a few times before you sent me. You sent me that text. It was really sweet of you and all, but I had already been on it a few times.
Didn't want you to miss out.
Okay, before we break for the news, let's talk a little bit about volleyball. Nebraska is kind of ground zero for the sport of volleyball in the world, you could say, because of the Huskers volleyball program, which is generally considered year in and year out, all things considered, about the best program in the nation. So we have this new organization called Nebraska Pro Volleyball, and they're launching supposedly a pro volleyball team in Omaha in 2024. They'll have other teams at least in Atlanta, San Diego, Orlando, Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Columbus, Ohio. It was announced this week that Pro Volleyball Nebraska now has a new executive director, Diane Mendenhall, who was once an athletics administrator with the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And it was officially announced that the team will play at the CHI Health Center Arena. So the question I have is, how big of a deal is this? People love their volleyball here. They love their Huskers volleyball. Will this thing take off? Will they get a big crowd? And will this league make it? I mean, there was that pro football league with the Omaha Nighthawks, had a great first year. Will it make it? I hope it does. It would be pretty cool if it did.
It's one of the few professional teams we have here. So
Yeah.
And, the people were questioning whether they would sell that many tickets, but we have a lot of good high school teams too. So there's a lot of people growing up with volleyball. And then you mentioned Nebraska, but Creighton is consistently in the top 25 in volleyball also. So
that's true.
And they're filling up their arena. I mean, granted, it's a lot smaller arena, but they're still filling it up. So
24 games a year, 12 home games.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
That's not too many. I mean, that's just enough to keep people entertained.
But you've got a 18,000 seat stadium to see if you can fill it.
You've also sold 93,000 tickets down the road for a outdoor game,
which is insane. Yeah. I mean, if there's any city our size that could pull it off, it's us.
Yeah.
Because of the crazy volleyball following that we have here. I mean, like we said earlier, I truly believe Nebraska is ground zero for women's volleyball. We'll see. I'm pretty excited to go to the first game and see what it's like. So we're going to take our middle of the show break. And when we come back, we still need to talk a little bit about the idea of a public market in Omaha, and we'll explain what that means if you're not quite sure when we get back. But you're listening to Grow Omaha. We have in the studio myself, Jeff Beals, sitting next to Trenton Magid, who is sitting next to Brad Williams. And we'll be back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, and Brad Williams here in the KFAB studio. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. Hey, all of you owners and property managers of commercial buildings, D&M Roofing and Siding has a preventative maintenance program that can, over the course of time, save you a lot of money on building maintenance. Take care of things before they become a problem. That's what D&M Roofing and Siding is all about. And by the way, they also do residential as well. So got any hail damage? There were some storms that came through eastern Nebraska and western Iowa recently. If you get some hail damage on your home, on your residential roof, definitely seek out D&M Roofing and Siding. You'll be very pleased with the service and the resulting product. All right, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week, which is brought to you by our good friends at Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies, under the leadership of Jay Noddle and a team of talented professionals doing major real estate projects all over the United States. Here in Omaha, they have Exarban Village, the Builders District, River's Edge, Steel Ridge, Village Point, West Medical Campus, and many, many others. So we're going to talk to you about a couple things going on at Noddle Companies projects. We're first going to Steel Ridge. This is the project in Western Papillion, just before it turns into Gretna, on the northeast corner of Interstate 80 and Highway 370. We told you earlier, a couple weeks ago, that Kia is building a dealership there. The structural steel is all in place. And as of this morning, some of the walls are now going up. So the Kia dealership is coming along nicely. It'll join H&H, which has a couple of dealerships there in the area. And then we also mentioned that Rub, R-U-B, a rotisserie chicken restaurant concept, is coming to Exarban Village. That is going through liquor license consideration right now, which means that the interior renovations, which have not yet started, should start pretty soon. This is the former Green Belly space right on the corner of the HDR headquarters building. And so you can look forward to that. That's that rotisserie chicken place there at Exarban Village will come from one of the owners of Au Courant in Benson, which is a darn good place. Yeah. So if that guy is involved in it, you know it's going to be pretty good. And that, my friends, is the Commercial Real Estate Spotlight of the Week, brought to you by Noddle Companies. As always, if you want to learn more about Noddle, just go to noddlecompanies.com, or there's the Noddle Companies Facebook page. Interestingly, like Exarban Village and Interrail Food Hall have their own Facebook pages, and you might want to check those periodically to keep up with business announcements in those two areas. So, guys, Nebraska is one of the states where incomes grew the fastest between the first quarters of 2022 and 2023, this according to the Wall Street Journal. And so that's really encouraging. In fact, here are the top few states. North Dakota came in at number one with a 9.7% income growth rate in that 1 year period, followed surprisingly by New Mexico at 9.6, then Nevada 9.1, Florida 9.1, and then Nebraska 8.6% income growth rate.
We'll take it.
We will take that. California and New York were among the lowest, but that makes sense because they've had a lot of out-migration, and some of their industries were hit the hardest. But Nebraska, that's a good sign for the future there. All right, I want to talk a little bit about public markets. If you get the Grow Omaha newsletter, it came out a day late this week because of a whole bunch of logistical things going on this week. So it came out yesterday afternoon instead of the normal Thursday afternoon. So if that messed you up, we apologize. And if you're wondering, where the hell is my Grow Omaha newsletter? Check your inbox. It came out last night around 4:45, yesterday afternoon around 4:45 p.m. At any rate, our big story in this week's newsletter was, is Omaha ready for a public market? And this was sparked. I wrote the article, and it was based on some thoughts I've had visiting public markets. About a year ago, I went through the Milwaukee public market in the downtown area. And you go in these public markets, I kind of describe them as picture like the Omaha farmers markets, but indoors, open 7 days a week year round.
And more prepared foods.
Yeah, and a very heavy emphasis on like restaurant quality food, but they still have the fresh produce, and they usually have a florist shop. A lot of times they'll have like knick-knack shops, candle shops, crafty sort of things. I really like them. And so in June, I did a speech in Philadelphia, took my wife Stephanie with me, and our hotel was right across the street from the Reading Terminal Market. Been there since the 1800s, and someone said, hey, for lunch, you better go to the Reading Public Market. We did. We had a great lunch. The next day, we went there for breakfast. And I got to tell you, I think now it wouldn't be as big as the Reading Public Market, but maybe a public market half to 2/3 the size of the Reading Terminal Market in urban core Omaha, I think would work. And so I'm kind of hoping that someone who has an entrepreneurial desire to do something like this jumps in.
Yeah, can you, for people that haven't been there, describe, based it on something here in Omaha, how big is this when you say half to 2/3 the size?
I'm trying to think. It's the whole public market together is the size of maybe a small to kind of large grocery. Maybe closer to the size of on the larger grocery store. Maybe not as big as the Hy-Vee that opened in Gretna, but a decent sized grocery store.
75,000 to 100,000 feet.
Maybe 50 to 75,000.
Okay. Now, when I think of those places, and I've been to them in Spain and other places, Europe seems to be popular with them. There's a lot of entrances.
Mm-hmm.
There's some perimeter stores, so you can see people making food and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of times the windows open and it gets pretty airy in there.
Some of
the
them,
weather's nice.
Some more than others.
And some of the ones I've been to, I remember they had stuff outside on the sidewalk too on nice days, like, kind of expand out of the building too.
Extend it, yeah. The ones that I visited, because I've had, also have ordered food at the Milwaukee one, and all that, the food is surprisingly, well, not necessarily surprising, but a lot better than you might think. It's really good stuff, and I don't know, I think if we do it in Omaha, the streetcar line is probably where you got to do it, because you need to have that concentration. It needs to be a busy place. And it'll be interesting to see.
It's basically the inner rail at Exarban, but add some crafty things.
Yeah.
Expand it greatly.
Have some produce.
A lot more options.
Yeah.
People can go shopping. Yeah, it's like mix in some Trader Joe's or that kind of thing.
It'd be interesting. I think it would work here, but time will tell. If you want to read the article, just go to growomaha.com, click on Market Report in the navigation bar. You'll see this week's newsletter right there, and it is the big story brought to you by Renz. All right, we're going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, it will be the Turner Construction Lightning Round. You're listening to Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, and Brad Williams on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals, Trenton Magid, and Brad Williams in the KFAB studio. It's time for the Turner Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things really fast in a short period of time. And thank you to Turner for making this possible. I tell you, Turner Construction is a very blessed company because they have offices all over the place, deep bench of talent. They're heavy in resources, so they have all this expertise and experience that they bring to your project. But they're also very comfortable and friendly to work with. Like Trent and I, we know almost everyone who works in the Turner office here in Omaha, and you become friends with them and you realize how much they care about their clients and the projects that they're working on. It's pretty darn impressive. So if you are thinking about doing a building project, just give Turner a call, sit down with them, learn how they do what they do, and just see why they would be a good choice for you and your project. Turner Construction, sponsor of your Grow Omaha Lightning Round. All right, guys, let's get right to it. On the Border, the chain restaurant out of Dallas that opened in Papillion is officially open. It opened on Wednesday.
They heard that Omaha could use more Mexican restaurants.
They heard that. Construction has started on a standalone Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh on the southwest corner of 204th and Center. This one will not be tied in with a Hy-Vee grocery store. So does that mean that Hy-Vee is going to become like, Casey's and QT and all those others and be a chain of gas stations?
They put one, the 204th and Q or in Coventry. That one's standalone with no grocery store either.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. This was going to be
Just down the road.
yeah. This one will be just literally. You're right, down the road from that.
Other side of the street.
Coming soon, Koi Sushi Teriyaki Bowl. Koi Sushi Teriyaki Bowl will be in the former Rebel Monkey and Pudgy's Pizza space southwest of 168th and Harrison. I could actually, not that I would, but I could technically walk there from my house. So I'll have to give that a try when it opens. Starbucks is building a freestanding building with drive-through on the northeast corner of 42nd and L Street in South O. The building is enclosed, and they're now working on the interior. These prototypical Starbucks buildings are popping up all over town. I know there's one under construction.
How many
in West
do we
Maple.
have now? 35?
Well, they keep building them. Like you would think we'd be over Starbucks, but they keep building
There are
them.
more coffee concepts coming.
That's true. You're working with one.
I say I've drawn up, I don't know how many Starbucks at work in the last couple years.
You guys have worked on them. Yeah.
It seems like every developer wants to show a Starbucks on their development.
Which is impressive that they're building so many of them right now in the hometown of Scooters, because Scooters is
They're putting scooters up everywhere too.
yeah. Oh yeah, and a lot of other cities. When I drive around other cities, I see, because they're an Omaha company, I notice scooters. So that's kind of cool. Brad, we've got a well-known local brewery that is celebrating an anniversary.
Oh yeah, Cross Strain is 6 years today. So they're their 6-year anniversary parties today. They got some special beers they're releasing today, and
I did that deal.
Yeah.
Over on Portal
How'd
Road.
you do that?
and then Jeff and I were talking. That means Pint Nine's 6-year anniversary is probably any day now too.
Exactly.
Because they were right about that time.
Same
Yeah.
time.
Our good friend Nate Dodge is one of the owners in Pint Nine. And so sometimes when we have celebrations at NV Dodge, we are treated to Pint Nine beer. And that is always a pleasant surprise whenever we get that. Omaha's local brewery scene, pretty good.
Yes,
Pretty darn good.
I'd say that whatever kind of beer you like, you can find a brewery in Omaha that has a really good version of that beer.
And Brad and I were talking at breakfast this morning about breweries, and we were lamenting that some breweries around the country, several of them don't have as much of a food option as they used to have. And then you had made mention that and a good example of one that does in Omaha is Jukes. I mean, you can get a really good menu there.
Yeah, Jukes has one of my favorite Nashville hot chicken sandwiches in town.
Yeah, so that's always kind of, and I know like Artisan Bearded Brewer Artisan Brewery brings in a food truck lots of times. Well, the music is playing, which means that we're done. We got to get out of here. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Hey, great show as always. Thank you very much.
Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting, and a key member of the Grow Omaha team. Well, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.